I'm unmuting this.
All righty. Testing 1, 2. Let's see. Do we have sound? We do.
We do have sound. Wonderful.
Yes, we do. Let me go on to. We're on in multiple places.
Here, baby. Just do this right there, and we're going to go there. Hmm?
Okay. And this says, yep.
Wonderful.
And
you hear us good?
on Facebook if we hear us.
Do you hear us good?
I absolutely.
Great. Okay. Check.
I do.
Okay,
yes,
wonderful.
I do.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. We see across all the places we're streaming, we see people coming up and signing on. So we're going to give it a few minutes. Come on in. Please come on in. You're all welcome here.
Definitely. We have it on Facebook running, live streaming on YouTube, live streaming on both the groups and the page. So we're going across multiple layers this evening, and I'm really excited about that to make sure that everybody who can gets a chance to join us.
Absolutely. Come on in. Come on in. The water's good. The water's fine.
And
you have come to the right place. If you're looking at finding ways to deal with difficult people, that's what we're talking about right here today.
Absolutely. So I'm going to see quite a few people here. Welcome.
Welcome, everyone. This should be really fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to let you all know, I'm Gary Grant. This is Talesha Grant, and we are both coaches with Heroic Life Strategies. And both the Facebook groups here and the YouTube group, what we're doing is we're talking about special strategies for handling challenges in life, persevering and creating possibilities into the moments of our life. And that's what these channels are about. In our content, we talk about living with a sense of purpose and standing with dignity and leaving people in places better than we found them. Yes. Okay. And tonight specifically, we're talking about handling or at least dealing with difficult people. If we're going to talk about living a fulfilling life, we're going to have to deal with people in other roles in our life, right? We're living out a great and epic heroic story, and the people in our life are going to be part of that, and we get to contribute to their stories as well.
Right.
And then there's some people in our cast that are not compliant to that. Okay. And so the hero has to decide how they're going to deal with difficult people. Okay. So if you haven't already decided that, you get to decide that right now, that you get to be a hero in your life. And that very much changes how we engage people in our life. Okay.
It does.
Okay. So let's move on to difficult people. Okay. So we need to clarify a few things, right?
Yes. So who aren't we talking about?
Right. Okay. Because we don't want to have you think we're talking about anybody who gives you problems. There is a specific type of group that we're not talking about tonight, and that is going to be dangerous people.
Yeah.
Okay. Dangerous people are not difficult people. They're dangerous. Okay. So when we're talking about strategies, we want to be responsible, right? We're not talking about people that are abusive. We're not talking about people that are manipulative or amoral. Now, in the future, right, we might do videos. We might
do a live stream on or a video on dealing with those people also, because definitely there's some strategies in handling that. But I think in this video, we want to stick with those difficult people that sometimes you need in your life or you want in your life.
Right.
That don't fall into these dangerous categories.
Right. Right. So again, not talking about abusive people here. Hey, Raymond and Elise.
Hello, guys.
Hey, very nice to have you on board. Okay. we've talked about difficult people so many times in our seminars and our individual coaching with people. And you know what's interesting about this is there's been so many times where a person has this conversation, right? They're willing to be vulnerable. They're willing to come forth and say, I want better engagement with the people in my life. But they come to us and say, you know what I discovered? I'm the difficult person.
It does happen. And I think that that's something for all of us. I think that's a great thing to check in with. I know for myself, even sometimes I think, oh, this is difficult, or this person's difficult. And then
Right.
I do think maybe it was me. And that's something to be aware of too, right?
Yep. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Sometimes
yeah.
we discover that we're not really dealing with a difficult person. We're dealing with a difficult kind of arena.
Mhm.
And by not deciding how we're going to, engage the other person,
Right.
we're allowing it to go on. So taking ultimate responsibility and again, being a hero means
Yeah.
that also we say, hey, by the way I participate, I change the trajectory of the relationship, right?
And that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Look at
Hello.
that.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
We can't see Facebook
Wonderful
user.
to
It's just
see
saying
you.
Facebook user. It's not telling us who you are, but we love having you here. Thank you
We
so much
send
for
our
being
love.
here.
I see so many people here I know, and just hello to all of you. Can't name you all, but just we appreciate you and love you, and we're just so happy to have so many great people in our life.
Absolutely. And hello.
Hello again. Hello.
Thank you so much. On our system, we can't see the Facebook user's name, but we're going to change that soon.
We are live streaming across, again, for those of you that missed it, across multiple channels this evening. So in doing that, it's sending it all into one group feed, so we can see a lot of your comments and questions and your hellos. So we do appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on and let's get into some the meat of things, shall we? A little bit.
Yeah.
So coming from a hero's perspective, that's where Talesha and I are looking at it from, right? What are heroes out to do? We're not out to rescue people, but we're out to leave every place and person that we touch a little bit better for the experience, right? We want to, and that comes of a strong responsibility in life. We don't generally believe in this is the first thing, we don't generally believe in deleting people. Okay, we're not talking about dangerous people again, right?
And I do want to put in there, so not dangerous people, and we're talking about difficult people. However, sometimes you may need to delete somebody if your own emotional wellness or your own fitness is compromised or is being compromised. Maybe it is a good time to take a break, but in general, we don't delete people for being difficult.
Yeah. We're not into deleting family members.
Right.
We're not into deleting friends. We're into approaching relationships in a more responsible way and having strategies for, and we'll get to this, for inviting the other. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for being here. Okay. So we're into inviting. So we don't believe in deleting people, but we also don't believe in pandering to people, right? We don't believe in diminishing ourselves, right? So when we talk about being a hero in our life, we're not talking about, since we said we're not talking about deleting or rebelling against people, we're also not about pandering to people. Okay. So we're not about calling their bad behavior good. We've seen that sometimes, right?
Or just continuously giving it a pass. Those of you who know us, probably your ears are ringing, because we talk about pandering a lot, not pandering, and not rebelling. And that is on another video and for another video that will go more deeply into that. But I can just see we're getting little light bulb emojis.
Oh, we are. Right.
Some of you are like, yes, I know this one. We don't want to give a pass to bad behavior, difficult behavior, and just generally pretend like it didn't happen or it isn't there.
Right. Okay. And the last thing, okay, here is based on the kind of things we talk about, we always want to talk about inviting people to be better. Okay.
Yes.
So we're not talking about, again, getting to the difficult person. We're not talking about going against them. Damn you, you difficult person. You know, I'm deleting you right now.
Right.
But we're also not about going like, oh, okay, you know, I just should put up with it. You know,
Yeah.
we're about coming from a place where we want the other person to be better. We want ourselves to be better. And you know what's great about that? That means the difficult person or the difficult situation is part of your heroic path. It's part of your, like, and when we start to look at the difficult person almost like a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
we almost start to see like, well, like how can I be a better person here? How can I again, we said we believe in inviting them, so we're going to talk about that a little bit, like how to invite the difficult person to engage with us in a different way. Okay, let's have some fun here. So we've written down some things. Okay, we've written down some difficult traits, like what are difficult people. And if all of you want to add some traits, by all means, you can. Okay. So we're going to start off just by talking about a few. Okay. Who are difficult people? Okay. Number one, the
bossy. A little bit bossy. Kind of bossy around, pushy.
Right.
You know, definitely that. I hear a lot of that. Just,
right.
Generally
strong.
grouchy.
Right. The bossy is the strong personality, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of pushy.
Okay. Another type of difficult person is dismissive, right?
Yeah.
You talk to them, they talk to you, but then you know, whatever you're saying to them is kind of like clouded over, right? They've got things to do, and you're not part of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
maybe
that's difficult.
Discounting you, discounting your feelings sometimes, and maybe even discounting their agreements with you.
Right. When we'll get to that one, we'll definitely get to that one. So we have dismissive.
Oh, they have distracted.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, how are they able to participate with you? You know, have you ever had somebody, you know, you're trying to get them to participate with you and do something, and they're just generally unavailable because they're just all over the place. Maybe they're distracted by devices or
we're gonna get to that last
things.
one. Okay, we got that one on the list. Okay, know-it-alls.
Love it.
Thank you.
Know-it-alls.
Know-it-alls.
Yes. Keep adding. We love it. That's definitely one that we hear a lot.
Yeah, and you know something. Thank you for bringing that up, because you know the ebb and flow of a relationship should be one of that invites both people to grow, where both people acknowledge a meaning of life as you're engaging with each other. And when you're dealing with a know-it-all doesn't have room for you. Right.
Well, yeah, it's full of themselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So thank you for that one.
That's a great one.
The know-it-all. Okay. This is one that we hear a lot too. The aloof. So the aloof is not necessarily distracted, and they're not dismissive. They're just not interested.
Yeah, they're just not participating.
Right.
And that's difficult, because sometimes, you know, that can come from a lot of different places, and it, you know, as we go through things, we'll talk about some things, but you know, the aloof, you know, just generally is just uninterested, just not. They could take it or leave it, take you or leave you, kind of.
Absolutely.
In some of their moments, so
that's hard too.
It's a tough one.
That's really hard. Okay. This is also kind of common, right? The self-depreciating, deprecating. Sorry, self-deprecating.
We apologize for the typo there. Self-deprecating. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, self-deprecating. Okay, sorry about that. So the self-deprecating person.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
This is a person who is kind of the Eeyore. Right. Right. They're difficult in the fact that you can't engage them above this very low monotone that they're always carrying. Like life is always wrong. It's always down. You know, like, and they may come across as like very humble, because they're the first people to admit, like, I suck. I'm the cause of my own life. But how much can we really handle that? Right. It's not not that we don't want to be compassionate. It's not that we don't want to invite the self-deprecating person out of that trench, but they're committed to it, right?
They are. And a lot of times I think that also shows up as possibly what you want to do. If you've ever shared a dream with someone who has some of that Eeyore kind of thing, it's hard for them to get excited with you or for you. It's hard for them to contribute really something meaningful to you because they have their own fears and they're kind of looking at, oh, I wouldn't do that. That's just too hard, or I tried to do it before and it was just too hard. And, so it's a good thing to be aware of that sometimes doesn't show up as the most obvious difficult person, but it really is one.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes, that person has such a solid worldview that there's no synergy between you and they.
Right.
None at all. Okay. And, we're looking for some more from all of you, but we're going to go on to 2 more. The don't keep their words.
And someone else is saying that too. They lie. They don't keep their promises.
Right.
I think I saw one on there where they just don't show up.
Right.
All those kinds of things do fall into a person who's just, they're not a promise keeper. They're not a person that, maybe they're not a person maybe that doesn't keep their word, but maybe it's more like certain ways of handling them would help them keep their word better, and that's what we'll get into.
Right.
So I don't want to say it's a certain kind of person, but it's definitely a kind of difficult interaction.
Yeah,
right?
In some way, maybe this is one of the more difficult ones, right?
Yeah.
The person who doesn't keep their word oftentimes doesn't realize how much they're hurting others.
Yeah.
Right. Because every time that they don't keep their word, they cause other people, like it's almost like a trickle effect. Like they don't keep their word. So another person has to renegotiate their agreements, and that person has to renegotiate their agreements. And so we have to kind of like almost coddle the person who doesn't keep their word. And that kind of brings pain into the world.
Absolutely. And this is one that I sometimes, I don't think always the person not keeping their words realizes this, but a lot of times they might be a person that is kind of holding your dream hostage or holding something you want to do hostage.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they realize it or not, but that's a really difficult position to be in. Like Gary's saying, there's that domino effect. Like them not keeping their word maybe causes me to not keep my word. So you really have something at stake there. That's a tough one.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot of comments that fall under this.
Okay, yeah.
This one, never wrong.
The never wrongs. Okay.
The know-it-alls, the never wrong. They think they know everything.
Oh my! You know what? I so love your growth as a married couple. Wow, God bless you.
We love you.
I mean,
Thank
truly,
you so
we love
much
you
for that.
too. Very, very kind
very
of you.
Sweet. We are definitely.
Thank you for being
we adore
here.
Each other. Thank you so much.
Okay, so everybody who's on Facebook, when you leave a comment, please let us know your name on our system. It's not letting. That's the one place it's not letting you know our.
I know what it is. It's because some people it is letting you know. If you didn't give permission for StreamYard to show your information, it might just say Facebook user. So definitely, as you thank you, Melissa, for that. You are just a doll. Melissa gave us a great compliment. But as you have to just click a couple buttons to authorize StreamYard, which is the service we're using to show the name, and that's why I realize that's why it's not doing
hey, Regina.
Hi.
Thank you for being here, Regina. Very kind.
I love you. Thank you.
We love you too. Melissa says maybe the ones who don't keep their word are actually people who have a hard time saying no. I used to be that person committing to things that I really should say no to. I'm learning to say no rather than to overcommit. Okay, so that's amazing. Like that Melissa, that you have that humility to say you had a problem and you've changed that. So that's really remarkable. First of all, that's something we started out with. And if anybody missed, this will be here so you can go back and if you missed anything in the beginning, but Melissa, that's one that myself I've looked at in the past and gone, oh man, maybe I was the difficult person, making it difficult even for myself. That's just a great awareness, and it's an amazing growth, and we just appreciate you sharing that here. Hello, Ray and Gabby. Good to see you. Thank you for being here, Ray and Gabby.
And hello, Kelly. Good to see you. So nice to
Hello,
see so many
Kelly.
familiars that
Oh,
just we
wow.
love so much
Wow, you fill a
joining
heart
us.
up.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
So
So
yeah, we
that,
have the never
but
ones.
Melissa, you brought us another one. So the never say no's. Right.
Yeah.
See, you know what's hard about the never say no's? They don't usually come across as a difficult person at first, right? We find out they're a difficult person down the road, right? Because they're telling us what we want to hear, right?
Yeah.
Right. They're not saying no. Like, wow, this is not a difficult person. They're
Right.
not. They're so agreeable.
Well, and it's a form of, sometimes it's a form of pandering. You just don't want to say no, and you feel bad saying no, right? And I know a lot of you, we have shared on other videos, and we'll continue to share like some tips and tricks if it's hard to say no. When it's hard to say no, what to do. We'll definitely share more about that.
Absolutely.
With you guys.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's roll forward a little bit. God, I love this. We have such an interactive audience.
Yeah, you guys are wonderful.
Okay, so what's up with difficult people? Like, why are they difficult? Right? Like what do they all have in common? Talesha and I talked about this, before this video. We started to say, like, well, kind of what do they have in common?
Like, could we boil it down to and again, we're not talking about those other people, those dangerous people, but could we boil it down to something that's kind of summarizes what they all have in common?
Right. So they interrupt us.
Yeah. They prevent us.
In some way. We have this kind of narrative that we're running through in our hearts. In our hearts, we want to believe that life is fair. We want to believe that people care about us. We want to believe that virtue is something that everyone strives for.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you bump into a difficult person, you realize that there are other people out there living out difficult narratives. Okay. They're not living out an attempt to exist from a virtuous place in their life, or to live from a fulfilling place in their life. They're living out difficulties. Okay. So we can have a lot of compassion for difficult people.
Definitely.
But what happens is they interrupt us from feeling like our meaning for life is true, that there's something authentic about our meaning for life. Okay. They draw us into another paradigm, if you will. Okay.
Make us feel like we don't matter.
Yeah. Right.
Make us feel like they're in our way, to literally in our way to achieve what we want to achieve or get where we want to go. Sometimes they even like weigh on our own view of ourselves. If someone doesn't come through, and like you said before.
Yep.
That domino effect.
So Facebook user, and I'm sorry we can't see your name, we are all self-centered. Well, we can talk about that. We all do exist on some level on the narcissistic scale. We're not all narcissists. Okay. Right. But we all do exist on the narcissistic scale.
I say we all want to get up in the morning.
Yeah, right.
Most of us, right?
And I want my coffee.
Hope I make it through the night. And we all have wants and desires, and and I think that that's a big one, sure.
But I think okay. So, but to go and say we're all self-centered, some people go beyond like the natural predilection to be self-centered. Yeah, thank you, Ray. We go beyond the natural predilection to be self-centered, and there's some of us who don't want to overcome that. Okay. And it's such a self-sabotaging thing to be self-centered, because there's nothing in this world that you can possibly want to create that doesn't require some kind of participation, some kind of love of others. And kind of that's where fulfillment is found, right? And how we react and or respond and how we give to others. So again, Ray, I couldn't disagree with you here. We are self-centered, but what's available to us is the availability to transcend that. And to transcend that, we have to believe that transcending our self-centeredness is not just a good thing, it's a right thing.
It is. What good would an invitation be if you're the only one?
Absolutely. Well,
right? You show up at your own party by yourself. That. Yes, that's great. Thank you.
That's really, really good. Okay, so 3 things, right? If Talesha and I had our way, we would sit here and we would go through every single one of these types of personalities, and this would end up being like a 2-hour talk.
We could probably
you
go
know,
forever.
right? Do this with the never wrong, and do this with the aloof, and do this with the
Right.
deprecating person. Okay, but we can't do that. So we said, like, how can we give all of you something that's really powerful, right? Something that you can say, wow, I'm so glad I watched this video. Okay. And so we came up with these kind of 3 takeaways. These are kind of paramount, right? Like if you have a fitness in these 3 things, like, you're primed for strategy. So for instance, if you got these kind of 3 things down, thank you for the 2 hearts. We don't know who you are, right? But thank you. Show us your name, by the way. Okay,
Yes.
please. If you have these 3 things down, if we were to share further strategy with you, much like an athlete, you would say, oh, I can run with that strategy, right? Because a strong, responsive heart can take on new strategy. But if you don't have these 3 things down, any kind of strategy we give you with the aloof or the distracted person, you're not going to be kind of fit, right? That's a way to say it, right? You're not gonna be able to fit to hold that strategy,
right?
So here are the 3 things. Okay, let's start here. Number 1, you have to have boundaries. Okay, now I think lots of people talk about boundaries. There's books on boundaries.
I was
There's
going to say
seminar.
that this is one that I think a lot of people are like, I know that, and then I kind of think, though, yeah, but am I good at it? Right? I know it.
Right.
But am I always good at it?
Right.
That's another one of those. Obviously, all these tips we're giving you are also things that you have to kind of look in and go, do I do it well?
Right.
Not always.
I think what we want to give you here is a little bit of a different way to look at boundaries, though.
Yeah.
Okay, when we hear people talk about boundaries, oftentimes they talk about them like they're laying down barbed wire. Right? We hear people saying things like, I'm not going to take this and see the head thing going. You can't even say, I'm not going to take this without doing the head thing. Okay.
I see that in Facebook posts sometimes, and I can see it in my head.
Oh, right.
And I can hear the head. Yeah.
Right.
But we've all seen it. I mean, some of us have done it, but we've all seen that, like, that's it. I'm not going to be a giver anymore. I'm tired of being a doormat.
Right.
I think almost everyone has felt like that at some point in time. Right.
So when we're talking about boundaries, we're talking about this in a different way. So maybe you want to write this down. Like, don't give up your dignity. That's all it means. Having boundaries doesn't mean like I'm not taking things from anybody anymore, or becoming like a porcupine, right? We use that a lot. We talk about boundaries like a porcupine. It means simply saying, like, I know what it is to have dignity, and I don't give it up. But I also, here's the key thing, don't ask it of anybody else, right? Because if you take the
dignity,
right, if you take the idea of boundaries, right, and you make it a barbed wire kind of thing, right, maybe you're not giving up your own dignity, but you're asking the dignity of the other person. Okay, so if you walk around like a porcupine ready to sting people who step over the line, right, are trespassers, right, you're becoming a porcupine, and now you're asking for the dignity of others, and you're kind of giving up your own dignity.
It's true. What about the time too? And that's so important, where you notice someone's crossed a boundary that you didn't realize you had, and then you're like trying to draw your line real quick, like that was a boundary, and getting upset and angry. Maybe that
upset in retrospect.
Maybe that boundary wasn't communicated,
right?
And then that's where that sometimes I think we can give up our dignity or take that dignity because we're really kind of mad at ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. We're kind of angry that we drew a line in the sand and maybe like erased it and moved it and drew it again, and then someone stepped on it again, or we drew it after the fact. And, I know that that's one that kind of hits home, like, I wish I'd held it better. So that's, I definitely think keeping our dignity, not taking another person's dignity.
Yep.
Number one.
If you want a quick little piece of advice there, see people as innocent. I know it's hard if you
human.
Right. But if you have somebody in your life that you think this is a difficult person, the next time they cross the line, right? Pretend you're wearing a ball gown or a tuxedo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Act into your highest dignity and say, "Hey, listen, can we talk about what just occurred there? Like, I really care about you, and maybe the way that we're talking to each other is not very good for us."
Yeah.
Okay. If somebody is distracted around you, how, like, having boundaries doesn't mean you're distracted, and because you're distracted, I'll no longer spend time with you. No, what it means is to say, I really care about our time together, and I know you do too. And I'd like our time to be meaningful. Like, you want that, right? And that would mean to me for us not to be distracted. Now sometimes, okay, and I don't want to get into this too much, okay, we're going to go down a rabbit hole in this one, right? Sometimes the difficult person will double down, right? They'll push back. Like, you will stand in your dignity, and you'll have said nothing really offensive, but they still double down anyway. Okay.
They might bite back. They might, give their doubling down. When we talk about that, we talk about a person who kind of fortifies it. Fortifies, like, that's why I did it this way, and kind of it gets a little more abrasive. Sometimes I think they believe their dignity is being taken, and there's lots of things. It is a rabbit hole.
So Ray, so we have a question here. Ray, thank you. This is a great question.
Perfect.
And that's awesome. Sometimes we forget that maybe we should give some words definition. So what does it mean giving up or dignity? What does it mean giving up or taking it? Okay, so first of all, let's give a definition to dignity. Dignity is the highest principle you can act on. Okay, meaning if you can act from the highest principle of what you know to be virtue and love, okay, like, think about it. Like probably all of us on this session, we probably have spent time with a child. Okay, if you could think the highest love you could approach someone with, right, without becoming childlike, okay? I mean, childish, right? You can become childlike, but not childish. That would be dignity, right? Holding a high standard for grace and holding a high standard for virtue, okay? Holding high love for the other person. So to give up dignity would mean to know that you're capable of better behavior. You're capable of kind of being, we talked about this, being an emissary of love. You're capable of it, but you won't do it, right?
Right.
Because somebody trespassed, somebody talked to you wrong, or somebody was dismissive with you, right? So you're gonna kind of take it out on them, and you're going to give up your dignity.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wanna give them a sometimes a little
good
little spank. Yeah.
Right, a spank.
a little bite.
Right.
And I really generally find I notice this for myself, and I think that as time goes on and you get better at recognizing, your boundaries, better at keeping your dignity, right? Because then sometimes you double down, because when you give up your dignity, there's really nothing worse than that, than knowing you could have done better, and then having to fortify that a little bit because it feels bad. It does. It feels bad to get angry and show you can get angry, but to show up in that way. And I just wanted to add a little thing when you're talking about people distracted. I just find that just making a simple request for me works so well. If I just say, like, hey, I'm talking to you, like, did you want to, I'd like to share this with you, or like you said earlier, can we talk about it? A lot of people willing to talk about things when we get out of our own way. I actually find that people, a lot of reasonable people, want to, but it's hard when you're being spanked not
Right.
to scream and cry and act.
Nobody likes a spanking.
Yeah, nobody. That doesn't work very well.
Right.
Yeah.
So taking away somebody's dignity is having reproach with somebody, approaching them in such a way that that you are taking a kind of righteous position with them, instead of talking about their behavior uh as a kind of synergy between both of you. We're admonishing the other person, right? And by the way, it's a common thing that we all do. Like, we may feel funny about approaching somebody, so taking a shot at their dignity might feel like we're lowering them to their standard, like suggesting that there's something wrong with them, calling them a name, suggesting that their behavior means something about their character. All these things are ways of taking people's dignity.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's, yeah, absolutely. And it's really just a bad strategy for trying to wake someone up or trying to get them to get it. Only most people aren't good at emotional math.
Right.
So,
oh, right.
There's that. So I find being pretty straight, compassionate, and kind, even to ourselves who maybe didn't express the boundary, works pretty well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so just to reiterate number one, okay, we spent a lot of time on number one. You all had some great questions.
Is a big one.
So
it's a big one.
I mean, that's fantastic. Okay, have good. Oh, and thank you, right? You're so welcome, brother. Okay, so have good boundaries, right? And what that means, like, it's not enough to just say have good boundaries. What it means is to not give up your dignity, and don't ask for the dignity of others. We want to build their dignity.
Yeah.
Right. We don't want to take it. Okay. Yeah. Number two, and this is so important.
I'm gonna change our slide.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Let's do this. And this is fortify your knowingness. What do we mean by fortify your knowingness? Okay. The reason why difficult people affect us, right? We're not saying that their way of being or their behavior isn't difficult. We're saying, like, why are we so affected? Okay. Well, we said earlier that difficult people interrupt us. So the remedy to being interrupted is to know who you are and to know where you're going. Okay. If you know who you are, you're very clear about who you are. Okay. And I don't mean like I am what I am, like Popeye. I mean having a sense of solidarity about you, having a sense of purpose about you, right? If you have a sense of purpose, think about this. If we were talking about like the hero's journey, right? The hero is going down their journey and a difficult person comes into the path. The hero can contextualize that difficult person as a part of the story if that hero knows he's a hero or she's a hero. Sorry. Right. Okay, he or she is a hero. Okay, if the person is not in realization of their purpose, then this person in their path becomes an obstacle that they must rebel against or bow down to, and that's what we're trying to get away from here. So any work, any self work you do around knowing who you are and where you're going, and having a very clear, distinct sense of it, fortifying that inside, is going to make difficult people feel like part of your narrative, part of your story, as opposed to something that I mean, we're not going to get into this so deeply, but if we don't have a sense of purpose, difficult people become an existential challenge, which takes it to a whole nother level. And that's why we have people like so upset about difficult people. I mean, like, like their days are ruined if they bump into a difficult person.
Well, some of those things stick, if you feel like someone's discarded or discounted you feel like a discarded or discounted person, versus who you are, and this person did an action of discarding or discounting you, or just not participating with you, but it doesn't really say anything about you when you know who you are.
Absolutely.
when you know your own way. So
Absolutely.
it's a really important one.
Do some work around that.
Yeah.
You know, by all means, do some work around purpose, do some work around your principles, do some work, and we'll be talking about that in future.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you
Yes.
so much. We'll be talking about that. Let's go on to the third thing. So, right, we have the boundary thing. We have the know who you are, know where you're going. And I'm going to credit this directly to Talesha because this is just one of the best. Okay, so I'm going to say
those
this.
who know me know
Right.
this is a favorite of mine.
So remind yourself of your role, and here's Talesha with a bit of a prayer or an affirmation. I like to look at it more.
Yeah,
like
I like
prayer.
that. I like that.
Okay.
Like, and I probably do this multiple times a day. I say to myself, of my many challenges, I am thankful that's not one of mine. And really, what that means to me is, so when I'm dealing with someone who is a difficult person,
right,
and I've checked in with myself, and I know this is not the specific challenge that I have, but I do like to go. I do have challenges though. So of my many challenges, I do have many challenges myself, but I'm thankful and I have a gratitude that this particular thing isn't one of mine. Maybe
right.
I've grown past that. Maybe I never had that specific challenge, but for me, that gives me a lot of compassion. We find that gives us a sense of humility, to be able to look at other people and say, oh, they have challenges, but I have challenges too.
Right.
Now, a lot of times I may think, but I never have that challenge, but I do have other challenges. And this is a great reminder. And just it is a great affirmation to write down and, just repeat to yourself as you go about your day. Of my many challenges, I think, well, that's not one of mine. Someone pulls out in front of me, driving on the road. My little, prayer and affirmation of many challenges. I'm thankful that's not one of mine. I don't drive, recklessly. So, and multiple other, someone doesn't get back to me, someone doesn't answer the door when they're supposed to, whatever, come through on something. I feel like that gives us something to do when we don't know, maybe while you're working on some of these other things. I feel like if you at least have that, it definitely kind of orients.
Absolutely. I think the thing I like about this quote of yours so much is that when we say of my many challenges, okay, there's the humility you're talking about, but when we say I'm thankful that that's not mine, it leaves us in a space where we can choose who we're going to be for this person, right? Mm-hmm. If their challenge is not mine, I can now define the role I have with them. Like I now have a choice to be an emissary in their life, to be an inviter in their life, right? Yeah. Because but if I convince myself that their challenge is mine, now they're the main character at the center of the story, and I'm this like secondary character, like just a satellite around them, right? And now I can't even get to a place where I can grow.
Yeah,
because
so these actually kind of start stacking upon each other. You can notice where this third thing feeds into that second thing about knowing who you are, what you're here for.
Absolutely.
Right, where you're going. So this aligns us as we can actually teach something, right?
Absolutely.
What if it is? Thank you, Ray. You're great. What if it is one of your challenges? Well, that's actually even more humbling, because I think that, when I say of my many challenges, I have to check in with myself before I say of my many challenges, I'm thankful that's not one of. Wait, that is one of mine. Well, then I need to clean up some things. Right. That's a place for me to go. There's a mirror here, so I need to go look here and see, who have, and I've done that too. Who have I let down? Where am I letting someone down? Do I let people down this way? Do I have work to do? And so that's definitely that. You got to look inward. I think on a lot of these, you notice we're saying you got to look.
Yeah.
You got to look inward and checking
Absolutely.
in with yourself. So.
We can't get into this too much. You know, I mean, we can. Again, we'll have a 3-hour conference with all of you, and we don't mind it, but we have other things, right? And you all have other things.
We do.
But if we look at our own challenges and we look at the challenges of other people, and we say, "Love you too, Ray." If we look at our own challenges and we say, like, all of our challenges emerge from our meaning of life. Okay, like what meaning we attribute to life. Is that a good meaning? Is that excuse my language, a piss poor meaning, right? Like, do I have some growth to have there? And if we could look there, like you know, you're asking, like, what if I find it's my own challenge? Okay, great, it's your own challenge. And then you have to say to yourself, okay, I don't, right? Like, let's look at the rules. I don't want to take away my own dignity. I don't want to sit there and admonish myself, right? Give myself a spanking.
Oh,
wow,
yeah, you could do all
right?
this to yourself.
Wow, I suck, right? Because I do
Yeah.
this too. And instead of going, wait a minute, like, so this is kind of like meeting myself on the road and going, like, okay, what meaning am I living out in my life that behavior is possible?
Yeah.
Heck, that's useful.
Mm-hmm.
Now my own, you know, disruptive behavior becomes part of my heroic journey,
right?
Which is different than just like, let me admonish myself to death, right? Let me just tell myself I'm not the hero and I suck in this life. That doesn't do anybody any good.
And and you also realize what you've been inviting people to. Right. So you're inviting people to be what you are, what you're doing. And so a lot of times if you're doing that, of course, they think it's okay too. Why not? You're doing it to yourself. So we didn't put this in here, but be gentle. Be gentle with yourself, you know, be gentle with others. I guess that's also in keeping with, you know, upholding other people's dignity, and not taking their dignity. But we could all use to be a little more gentle. That doesn't mean
truly
to be pandering,
push
or
over,
passive, but to be actively gentle, I think it goes a long way.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we had this thought in mind that we were going to get to the end of this and ask all of these questions. But you know what's awesome is, like, you asked so many questions as we went along, and I mean, there's some questions on the YouTube channel that we have to come back to. What we want to ask at this point is, are there any specific questions that you all have, or is there anything like, remember we went over these kind of like 3 things, right? These are like the fitness of somebody who is not affected by a difficult person, and then we can layer strategies on top of that fitness. But this is a great start for all of us. Okay, so do you all have any questions, anything at all?
Anything clarity that you need clarifying? And
anything at all?
This video is going to stay up. If you pop on here at some point in time and we see comments or questions later on, or you can text us questions, you can email us questions, and we will absolutely still be available, you know, to you. And some of you will see in our private time together, and we can even go, that's where it goes deep. So are there any questions?
Let's see. Wait, we got a couple of things.
Make sure.
Oh yeah, can we repeat the 3 things happily? Let's start there. Okay, so here are the 3 things. Have good boundaries, not barbed wire, right? Don't give up your dignity. Don't ask for anyone else's. Okay.
That's number 1.
If you want, I'll put that on the screen real fast. Okay. So boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's number 1. Don't give up your dignity. Remember, boundaries are not barbed wire. That's key here. Okay. Number 2 is fortify your knowingness. What do we mean by that? Know where you're going. Know who you are. Okay. Really know who you are. You know, get some coaching around that. If you want to work with a coach, Talesha and I work with many people. Reach out to us. We'll have a conversation with you. We'll see if we're a good fit. But whatever you do, get some fortification under that. Work on what Talesha and I call your foundation, or your compass. Yeah. Okay. It's who you are at a level of, like, in a storm, you can still say, this is who I am. This is what makes me tick. So number 2 is fortify your knowingness. Number 3 is the quote, Talesha.
of my many challenges,
right?
I'm thankful that's not one of mine.
That's so
and
good.
It's on the screen.
Wow, I love
so write it down, make it your affirmation. That's number
That's
3.
a good one. Okay.
And
we have one
and
more.
we have one more.
Miss Gabby, what if you deal with difficult people, have an event where it feels like I've lost my dignity? Now it's days later. How do you go back and deal with that fact? Okay.
Oh, after the fact.
Do you want this one?
Well, I think that all of these definitely apply, and sometimes we can't change history, right? So it's hard to be with a situation where, well, we have our dog visiting.
We're being interrupted.
She's like, oh, time is up.
Miss Daisy is
hi, Daisy.
wants attention.
So, Gabby, that's difficult. It's definitely hard and, heartfelt. And I think that probably if you looked at that situation, there could be boundaries that maybe weren't put in the first place, possibly. But if it has you feel like you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, in light of that, I think that, if you have you said like an event to do, and what if you invite people and maybe they don't come, or what if you have something scheduled and people don't participate in the way you'd like them to? You still have to know, what's my place here? What do I want to do? And I do think it's okay sometimes to that compassion, to have it extend to yourself, to say, well, it doesn't feel good. We're not at all discounting the fact that difficult people do make things hurt for us.
Yeah.
It is painful. What we're recognizing, though, is a lot of times they have pain too. And maybe that's why they're the way they are. But I definitely think fortifying your knowingness, maybe reaching out and having a conversation and saying, hey, I didn't like how that's going, or, I need to talk to you about this. And I have some ideas that I'd like to share with you. And can we participate with me?
Absolutely.
I'd really like to start from the top. Sometimes we got to start from the top and go there.
And it's never too late to take your dignity back. That's the most amazing thing you can. It does not mean that all our past is reconciled once we take our dignity back. But once you decide, I'm no longer going to give up my dignity. I mean, you're going to trip. Okay. You're going to occasionally like I gave up my dignity. Okay. But if you decide in any situation, wait a minute, I don't want to stand for myself. I want to stand for dignity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to stand for something higher than myself.
Right.
I want to stand for absolute dignity. Okay. And all of a sudden the events around you will transform.
And I think, and I want to add here, and that's so good. Sometimes we feel like we've lost our dignity, and maybe that we didn't really give it up. So maybe we didn't do anything to actually have a show of giving up our dignity. But we do have feelings sometimes like someone's taken it because they discounted us, because they didn't listen to us, because they didn't participate with us, all these things we've mentioned. And the real truth is that's at the place to come in and know where you're going and know who you are.
Absolutely.
Because
they
really cannot take your dignity. That's that little voice in there that's like, gosh, without them participating with me in the way I want them to, it feels like I don't know where I'm going anymore, and I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. And so that's a really good place to check in with that, because
Absolutely.
I think sometimes there is a difference. Like, I don't give up my dignity, but maybe it still hurts. Like I lost it somehow. And definitely that second thing, know where you're going.
Absolutely.
And we do have a number 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We do have this. I don't know if you have it for the screen, but
I do.
And I think it goes without saying, but
yep.
I think it should be said for the new people that we don't know.
Right. We want to keep doing this. We're very blessed. We've been very successful in coaching and seminars. So we want to keep doing this. We want to keep doing these videos and keep sharing with people in general, and keep sharing these ideas and having these kind of relationships with all of you. So by all means, if you like what you heard tonight, please click like, share. By all means, Let us know what topics you'd like for us to approach in the past. And by the way, there could be subtopics. If you all
Right.
feel there's something you want us to return to in this topic, like maybe something on purpose, maybe something about handling challenges, maybe something about the heroic story, by all means, we're looking for feedback from all of you. Just to participate with us. This is fun for us.
Well, it is fun for us. And we've just had such a good time preparing for this and doing something we've been wanting to do. And
Truly.
We're just happy to be able to give in this way, and just see you all here just lights up our hearts. And we do want to say, for those of you, if you were a person that thought, I do all of those things, every single one of those things, I am good at it, and I do those things, and you're still having some challenges, reach out for a private conversation, or get support, or reach out to us for possibilities of coaching, because maybe there's always a little housekeeping sometimes.
Truly.
We can do, and we can find, and you do deal with a lot of unique people in life, and some of those unique people, may need a little extra. So
absolutely.
But thank you all for being here.
Oh, wow. Truly.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you all for being here. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, my love.
My sweetheart and I want to say goodnight to all of you.
Good
Be blessed.
night.
Have a beautiful
Much
time with your
love.
family. Okay. Be a
Take
hero.
care.
Love is real.
Bye.